Creation Insights.
All right, we are live.
All right, Mike Tagubin, Helmi, Dakyapi, Noah, Akitaru. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another wonderful evening here at Good Medicine Way. It's really good to see everybody here. I hope that everyone had a good week. I hope that there was not too many things going on, but there was enough things going on to keep your life nice and happy. So I'm excited because tonight we're going to be joined by one of our dear relatives, Donnie Begay, who will be talking about research and reflection. So I'm very excited. I'm For those of you who don't know me, I am Upetitaka, which means white star in the Pawnee language, and I'm coming to you from the lands of the Cheyenne and Arapaho in El Reno, Oklahoma. Um, Good Medicine Way comes to you tonight from the foothills of the Sandia Mountains in the ancestral homeland of the Tewa people, the Pueblo people, also the Dene, the Apache, and as well as many different other tribes that reside within Albuquerque city limits. So it used to be a old fort or something way back in the day. So it's really cool that now we have all these different tribes, including Uncle Casey's Potawatomi people, as well as many other different people living in Albuquerque. And I'm pretty sure that's where Donnie comes from too. So that's pretty cool. But yes, all right. So now we're going to go into our opening prayer, which will be read or led by Brian. And I'm just going to go ahead and hand it on over to Brian so that way he can do his thing, eh? So whenever you're ready, Brian, go ahead and take it away.
All right. So, yeah, we'll read this together. Let me get it up on the screen. And this is a prayer that's attributed to Black Elk. And then we'll just go right into the song after the prayer. All right, here we go. Hey, learn to hear my feeble voice at the center of the sacred hoop. You have said that I should make the tree to bloom. With tears running, O great spirit, my grandfather, with running eyes I must say the tree has never bloomed. Here I stand, and the tree is withered. Again, I recall the great vision you gave me. It may be that some little root of the sacred tree still lives. Nourish it then, that it may leaf and bloom and fill with singing birds. Hear me, that the people may once again find the good road and the shielding tree.
All right, now straight into the opening song. Here we go. Take it away.
Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, Yahweh ho, Yahoo, Yahweh ho, Yahoo, Yahweh ho, Yahoo, Yahweh ho, Yahoo. Come and wait for grandfather, he's been slow to hear our cries. Lifts us up from the deep pit, up out of the clay. I will sing, sing a new song. I will sing, great spirit honor song. How long to sing this song? How long to sing this song? How long Yahweh, oh, Yahweh, oh. Sets my feet upon the rock, makes my footsteps firm. Many will see and hear. I will sing a new song. I will sing, Great Spirit, honor song. How long to sing this song? How long to sing this song? How long? How long? How long? How long to sing this song? Hey Yahweh, hey Yah, hey Yahweh, hey Yah, Yahweh, ho, Yahweh, ho, Yahweh, ho, Yahweh, ho, Yahweh.
All right. Hey, that was great. I love that song. It's beautiful. But yes, all right. So now we're going to be going into we're going to be going into our creation insight. We'll be calling on our relative Sarah Allen, who will offer something that she was thinking about today or this week. And I'm very excited to hear what story she has to share. So, whenever you're ready, Sarah, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Brian. Are you going to put the words up for me?
Yeah, I thought I already had it here, but I don't seem to.
So I'll tell you the story a little bit about this.
Sure.
Some of you may know of our sister ministry, another United Ministry, Methodist ministry in Espanola called McCurdy. McCurdy was the very first school established above Santa Fe in 1912, the year we became a state in New Mexico. And at that point in time, you know, just becoming a state, the roads were terrible. There were no schools, there was no Department of Education. Things were pretty grim in a new state. And so those of you from Ohio, you think 1912, my goodness, we've been a state for 100 years. Yeah, but in the West, it wasn't that soon. And McCurdy had boarding students, but the boarding students there were so different than some of the horrible stories we hear of boarding schools. And these are students that their parents chose to put them there, and they paid by bringing a cow or a sheep or blankets they'd made or whatever. And throughout McCurdy's history, from 1912 till about 1986, I think, they had students. And always it was about between 12 and 15% of their students were Native American. And then the other percentages were made up of more Hispanic students. And then like the Los Alamos kids, when they had no place to go to school as Los Alamos was getting started, they would come. Missionary kids from across the world because their parents were maybe in places that didn't have school. As the kids got older, they were there. And judges started giving kids a choice that had gotten in trouble. Do you want to go to McCurdy or do you want to go to jail? So where there was this huge mix of students and nobody really knew what their background was. And because there were so many students from all over the place, often they would go home with other kids that they'd met in school. And right where McCurdy was, which was on San Isidro land, many times they went home with students that were Native and got to learn more about their lives. And so I think it's just a really cool history of a good thing that happened. And I just thought that this poem was really important. I think sometimes we don't always remember to reach out and say thank you for all the things that are good that happen. Today is yesterday's tomorrow. Off we wait too long to say the many things once. Now yesterday's tomorrow is today. Today so brutal and unkind. Yes, I did. I meant to say those words of tenderness, but I didn't have time today, and now my heart knows sadness. Do be wise and speak today, and do not wait for sorrow. Remember the dangers of delay. Today is yesterday's tomorrow. So that was written in 1970. And the woman that's on the board of McCurdy currently, it was written by her husband, Michael Dean Higgins. And she just found these words stuck in a hymn that she was playing at Christmas time. But she felt that it applied equally well on this day as it did 56 years ago. So I thought that was pretty and meaningful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sister,
Thank you.
thank you. And I'm sorry, Apetitaka. I just wanted to thank Sister for that history and that was just beautiful what you just said. It made me think and see. You said she just found it in a hymn from her husband had written for so long. I think it said 1970 maybe or something so long ago. But that we see how the wheel has come round. The wheel and what was old yesterday is today and will be new tomorrow. Thank you for sharing that.
Wheel in the sky keeps on turning. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Thank you though, Sarah. That was really amazing. I can't wait to see the replay of that. But yes, thank you for sharing that wonderful insight tonight. I look forward to whenever you share insights. All right. So now we're going to be going into reading the Lord's Prayer from the First Nations version. As Uncle Casey says, we all know the King James version very well, but we here at Good Medicine Way have been practicing this one for a long time, and I do not volunteer for this. We've also learned how to do it in sign language as well, and we do miss our dear Leah McCoo. Hopefully she is able to watch this later, but yes, but yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and hand this on over to Brian so we can read the First Nations version Lord's Prayer together. So go ahead and take it away, Brian.
All right. Creator sets free, shows us how to pray. O great Spirit, our Father from above, we honor your name as sacred and holy. Bring your good road to us, where the beauty of your ways in the spirit world above is reflected in the earth below. Provide for us day by day the elk, the buffalo, the salmon, the corn, the squash, and the wild rice, all the things we need for each day. Release us from the things we have done wrong. In the same way, we release others who have done wrong to us. Guide us away from the things that tempt us to stray from your good road, and set us free from the evil one and his worthless ways. Aho, may it be so.
All right. Yes, eventually we will get that down, Uncle. Maybe one day we can even translate it into our languages. Who knows?
It may be already in some languages already. Yeah.
Yes, that'd be awesome. Hey, we should look into that. All right, so now we're gonna go into our smoke signals and giveaway time, our announcement time, and our what would be considered our tides if we were in church speak. So I'm gonna go ahead and hand this on over to Uncle Casey for our smoke signals and giveaway time.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. One thing on the the Lord's Prayer there, I was speaking at a church up here in Los Alamos, and I says, how many of you speak Old King James English? And one person said, well, I do, but only on Sundays.
Yeah. So that same ancient text, King James English. Yeah. So reading it from the First Nations version is a fresh expression of the same words, but translated into, a dynamic equivalent. It's called a dynamic equivalent thought for thought translation. And I really like it. I've learned it by heart now. But it's good. It's good things to do. First thing up, next week we are going to have a watch party. And I think many of you know, and if you don't know, write this down and Google it. Sugar Cane, the movie. It's a documentary that was made about a boarding school in Canada, and there was a big investigation that went on, and a lot of reckoning happened during that time. And some of the survivors of that boarding school tell their story and of the tragedies. It's very graphic in the details of their stories, so it's kind of got to put a qualifier out there. So be ready. We will have a little introduction to it. It'll take the whole session. We'll just have a brief introduction to the movie, and then we'll start the movie because it is long, and it is pretty. It can be very traumatizing. So afterwards, we will have a time of debriefing, and kind of if people are struggling with it, we'll have a time of prayer. I'll try to comfort folks to understand what the movie was about and how it can affect people and how it affected those people in Sugarcane at boarding school. So that will be next week, the 16th, a watch party. And Brian and I will cue that up here, and we'll watch that movie. And the whole session will be just for that. Also, next week, Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time, we will be reading this book. Everybody, Chris and Danny's book. I got it. I started it, and I've gone through quite a bit of it already. And they've noted in there some things about Good Medicine Way. They said one of the things that they noted in there is that Good Medicine Way brings up the creation insights and how God speaks to us through what He created. So we made the book. So pretty cool. So there's other things in there too, and I didn't read a lot of it. And you can also, I just found out too, you can also get it on Audible. So it's also a good thing to get too. You can get that on Audible. So we'll start with just the preface and the introduction by Sherry Russell. That'll probably be all that we'll do because it's pretty powerful right there. And then we'll get into chapter 1 as we go further. And I did ask Danny and Chris if sometime in their schedule, if they can join us, and then we'll give them the chapter that we're working on, and they will join us, and then they'll talk to us about whoever was doing the interviews on that time. So that's going to be pretty cool that they'll join us live on Zoom here. So keep that in prayer, and that will be starting next week. Other than that, I got to get with Eshe. Eshe is going to be our speaker following the Sugar Cane watch party. So we haven't seen him for a while. I don't know if Brian was telling me that he started his family sleep habits, waking up when the sun comes up and going to bed when the sun goes down. So I was telling Brian, I said, well, it's a good thing he doesn't live in Alaska. So it'd be a long sleep there. But yeah, so I'll double check with him to see if that day he's still on for that, because kind of it would interrupt his program there with his family. And then I got it scheduled out all the way into June already. We're starting to pick up June, so I got all of March and all of April, and I've started into May, and now the booking already into June already with our good friend Ray Aldred. May be our speaker on that with his new class. That he's at the Vancouver School of Theology, and he just he does a class. He's going to be sharing with us during that time. So I'm glad we got all these folks out there that know about Good Medicine Way and share with us, topics like tonight. We're going to have Donnie be sharing with us from his heart and his research and reflection. Going to be really cool. With that, we'll go into getting ready for our offering time here. What we call the giveaway. So we have a blanket on the ground in front of us here, and just to let everybody know, the church here in town that has been sponsoring us here for some time now has a grant, a $75,000 grant, and we haven't taken near enough advantage of it to really get as much. I think if every one of us had $1,000 to give, that would mean that each one of you giving $2,000. But every little bit that you do give gets doubled. So I appreciate everybody that can give. And I'll turn it over to Brian, and he'll tell you how to do that, basically electronically.
Yeah. So just like we got a blanket here, I'll be putting a digital blanket up on the screen. It's got a couple QR codes on it. One is specifically for PayPal. So if that's better for you, you can use that. If it doesn't matter to you, use the other QR code that has the Good Medicine Way logo on it, because that money comes directly to us without any extra fees attached to it. So 100% of what you give will come to Good Medicine Way. If you prefer not to give online, our mailing address will be also up on the screen, so you can send donations there. And if you have non-monetary things to share, those can go there. If you have something that you would like to share with Good Medicine Way or contribute in some way and you're not sure how is the best way to go about it, just send us an email at gmw4abq@gmail.com. That's the letters GMW, the number 4, and the letters ABQ. So gmw4abq@gmail.com. And let's start a conversation. We love to build community and network with people and give folks opportunities to do things. So we'd love to hear from you there. And without any further ado, I'll put the blanket up and we'll sing a little song. Create in me a clean heart, O God. Let me be like you in all my ways. Give me your strength. Teach me your song. Shelter me in the shadow of your wings. For we are your righteousness. Die to ourselves and live through your death, then we shall be born again to be blessed in your love. Create in me a clean heart, O God. Let me be like you in all my ways. Shall be born again to be blessed in your love.
All right. Hey, I love that song. That was a good one. Hey. We do have a little bit of a prayer request that came in through the YouTube live stream. There is a viewer who is praying for a ride, a war pony, praying for a war pony so that way they can get a job. Creator has been protecting this person, and they're just praying for something that's safe, reliable, and all of us have our little struggles that where we need something, where we have a need that needs to be met. So I just wanted to put that out there. um but yeah, so that's pretty cool. Hey, that's pretty cool. I really enjoyed the song. Our smoke signal time is like our time for us to like submit some prayer requests, different announcements like anniversaries or birthdays. Speaking of which, is anybody having a birthday? No? All right. Well, if any of your grandkids or your children are having birthdays, happy birthday. Everybody who's watching on YouTube, on Facebook, here in Zoom. But yeah, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to the next thing, which is reading Creator's Word. And that will be coming from Psalm 19. And we're going to be calling on Auntie D, who is known as Auntie D here, Miss Donna Anderson. So whenever you're ready, Auntie D, go ahead and read us some Creator's Word.
Thank you, Honey Bunny. And I'm so blessed and grateful to be able to do this. And I'm going to be sharing it from the First Nations version, Psalms 19. And it says, it's for the head ceremonial singer, a sacred song of much loved one, David. Father Sky is telling us the story of the shining greatness of the one above us all. The starry tent above us shows the beauty that Creator's hands have made. Day after day, the story is told, and night after night, their wisdom fills the sky. Even though the skies above have no spoken words, all creation has heard their message. The voice of the stars in the night sky has spoken to all the land. Their message has traveled the four directions to the furthest places on earth. Creators pitched a tent for the sun in the sky above. Like a groom, the sun awakens from his sleeping place in the morning and travels across the sky like a strong young man running a well-worn path. It rises in the east and makes its way across the circle of the sky to the west. The sun's warmth reaches out and touches every land. Grandfather's instructions are the good medicine we need to bring healing to our souls. When he speaks, even the simple can become wise. Grandfather's teachings are straight and true, making our hearts dance. His instructions wash us clean and show us the path of life. A pure heart that shows deep respect to Grandfather will last for all days to come. His words of instruction blaze with truth, making our hearts clean and our vision clear. His words are to be desired more than the feather of a golden eagle, even more than the tail feather of a great eagle. His teachings are sweeter than honey dripping from a honeycomb. Your ways warn us to walk with firm steps on your path, and we're greatly honored when we follow them to the end of the trail. We do not always know when we stray from the good road. So wash us clean and make our path straight. Keep my feet from the way I know is wrong, and do not let my broken ways rule over me. Then I'll be set free from my greatest enemy, myself. May the words of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart make you sing, Grandfather. You are the rock I stand on, and the one who sets me free. Aho, may it be so.
Thank you, Auntie D. All right. So also, wanted to wish everybody a happy Sweethearts Day. Hey, and all your little loves that you have in your life coming up on Saturday. Thank you for reminding us, Uncle Casey. Now we're going to be going into a centering and stillness time where we can prepare our hearts to hear from what our brother, our cousin, our relative, Donnie Begay has to share. So I will go ahead and hand this on over to Brian to offer some Native American flute music, okay, to get us prepared to listen and receive what Creator has to share with us through our relative Donnie. So whenever you're ready, Brian, take it away.
All right, thank you, Brian, on that. And our speaker tonight, young man I've got to know here over the few years. He started off here when I first met him. He was working with the campus ministry down in Las Cruces, Mexico State. Did some very good things down there. He and his wife was just a very talented young couple, just eager for the Lord's work, and started there. And while he was doing that, I was busy working with Nate's and traveling and doing things that Richard Twist would used to do. And now Donnie has stepped up into leadership with Nate's. He has finished his PhD. Uh, he's now Dr. Begay, and he'll be sharing with us. He and his wife, they live here in Albuquerque on the south side of town here. Their kids go to NACA, the Native American Community Academy here. And Donnie is, I don't know if you're teaching yet with Nate's, but he's on the board with Indigenous Pathways. So he's stepping up into leadership. And we need that kind of young folks to take on the mantle of older folks like myself, stepping down and making room for them as well. So I want to give this over to Donnie and let him share what's on his heart with us. And then afterwards, we will have a time of Q&R, Q&A, we call it, afterwards. Donnie?
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me again. It's always good to come here and share. And yeah, thank you for the warm introduction. Thank you guys all for being here and inviting me back. It was funny when Casey said young man. So I was like, I don't feel young as I once was, and I actually recently made the decision not to, partake in certain sports anymore, even though I love, sports. I grew up playing on the reservation, but yeah, I've seen and heard too many injuries happen to people I know, and yeah, so I'm like, okay, I had my fun playing basketball when I was younger, but yeah, so I did all I could, but now little older, so I should take care of myself a little bit more. But thank you for having me. I am here just to speak about a little bit about research and reflection. And so I'll start off just with my introduction. So here's the PowerPoint I'll be going off of. I'll just start again with just a picture of me and a couple of relatives. On the top left, I'll start there. I'm the youngest of five, I guess five. There's five of us, but I'm the youngest of five, and I always have to mention that just to make my siblings feel old. I always say I'm the youngest and most beautiful, just to annoy them. But yeah, so that's my siblings up there. My two sisters. I can't remember which one's older, but you guys can guess. Then the next guy in the salmon, is that salmon or pink? That's our oldest sibling. He's the eldest sibling, and then my next older brother, Sheldon. That's my siblings right there. More recent picture, and then on the right is me and my girls and Renee and my niece JC, which is Sheldon's daughter. We were in California recently, just a day of fun, hanging out, doing a lot of fun stuff. And the reason we were there is because of the bottom picture. Nate's invited me and Renee to speak at, I don't know if it was a conference or just a discussion at oh, the college is slipping my mind now. Fuller Seminary in Pasadena, California. And this is a picture of one of the workshops. Renee, she actually did hers in tandem with Dr. Sung Chung Ra. So if that name rings a bell, it should, because he's a great writer, amazing communicator, speaker, and he actually teaches at Fuller Seminary. And I think that Renee and him were gonna talk about something similar. So Renee worked up the courage and asked him like, can we do a workshop together? And to her surprise, Sung Chung said, yeah, like let's do it. And so it was a really fun session, a good workshop. But that's what we were doing there. So as Casey said, me and Renee, we love working with students, with young people. We enjoy having our kids part of our lives so we can teach them, and they're growing up. So our oldest is Natalia. I think she's pictured on the far right, and she's a senior this year. And Renee's actually at her basketball game tonight, which I'm sad to miss, but it's cool being here too. I'll forgive you guys for that. But she's a senior, so it just goes by really fast, and it's just kind of crazy. And that kind of leads in well with my reflections on Psalm 19, which was read earlier, and thank you for that. So I don't have to read it, but I'm not sure if it's because I'm actually getting older or growing up, but I enjoy the Book of Psalms. Anybody else enjoy the Book of Psalms? Raise your hands if you do. Oh, you guys are just saying that because I mentioned it, huh? Like, I'm just kidding. But when you read the Bible, no one ever really talks about Psalms. I mean, they probably do, but I'm just kind of from how I kind of got into that world of Bible reading, and in college as young zealous, believers. They always talk about, oh, you just read the New Testament, right? You just read the red letters that Jesus said, and like that's the truth. That's all you need to know. But rarely does anyone go back to the Old Testament, and even more rare is they go into the Book of Psalms. But I've been reading it, and I've been reading it in the First Nations version, so maybe that helped. But I've just become a fan of Psalms, just a reflection. And so I'll just let you guys reread the first three verses. That the heavens the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day, they pour forth speech. Night after night, they reveal knowledge. They have no speech. The heavens and the earth have no speech, yet, and no use no words, no sound is heard from them, yet they proclaim the glories. Or what does it say? They have no speech, they have no words, no sound is heard from them, yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. And the heavens, God has pitched a tent for the sun. But I just love that the ending of 4, yet their voices go out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. And I think, Psalms 19 can be used for meditation, right? Kind of what we did to prepare our hearts and our minds and our bodies and our spirit to be able to hear something. But I think this is really important now, especially in our fast-paced world today, right? It's just so quick, and our world is difficult to be still. It's difficult to rest. And when we don't do those things, it's really hard to reflect on our life, on the world, and what's going on in our country and the world. And so the writer of this Psalms, I truly believe, meditated daily, that he would go out into, wherever he lived in that time. I don't know if he was in the desert or, in the jungle, wherever he was. I bet he went out every day at noon just to lie down on the ground, on the dirt or grass, wherever he was, and just looked up into the heavens. That his gaze towards the heavens led him to decipher the knowledge of what was being spoken. Because as the psalmist says, the heavens and the earth, they speak. The heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. That's amazing that he knew that even way back then, whenever this psalm was written. But, I don't know if they had a lot of jobs or whatever he was doing, but he reflected. He spent time just staring at the world, staring at the heavens to decipher what Creator was saying through the stars, through the sky, through the world itself. But sadly, in our world today, we're just too busy, right? It's really, when I preach, I always talk about how we live in the Amazon Prime world, right? 2-day shipping. Like I want my stuff. If I order something, I want it tomorrow, right? I want it now. Sometimes that's not even fast enough for us. That we want what we order right away. But for the psalmist, he took time out of his busy day, out of all the things he had to do, to look to creation, to the sky, to the heavens, to unlock the mysteries of the world and its creator. My good friend Mark Charles, many of you probably have known him or have met him, but he wrote the book along with Sung Chang Ra, Unsettling Truths. And perhaps some of you follow him on social media, but Mark, he's the kind of guy that once he learns something, he gets really excited about it, and that's all he talks about. But lately, it's been a lot about health and breathing and running. And if you ever listen to his talks or his podcasts, he talks a lot about how he never ran, right? He wasn't a runner growing up wherever, and when he grew up outside of Gallup, but he's since taken it up as a hobby, as his spiritual practice, which means he doesn't, take time, or he's not trying to run a certain mileage. He just runs just to build up a sweat as his spiritual practice. And so anyway, for a while and still sometimes today on social media, he'll go out and greet the sun right early in the morning. He'll walk east towards the rising of the sun, and sometimes on Instagram, he'll put his phone on live so that we can all see kind of the glory of the sunrise of where he's at that time. And if you ever talk to Mark, you'll learn that he started this practice a long time ago when he lived on the Navajo reservation, some 20 years ago, and how for us as Navajo, it's important that we wake up early, that we run towards the sun in the morning. And so after Mark learned this practice, Mark discovered that the Creator does in fact speak to us in and through creation. Just as the psalmist has said, the skies proclaim the work of Creator's hand. And so kind of probably about a year or so ago, I went outside one morning, and that's where these pictures are from. I went outside to take out the trash, real sacred. You got to take out the trash in the morning. I'm a good Navajo that way. But I know phone cameras don't do it justice. The brilliance of what I saw, just the colors and the smell, the sight, the sound, everything. I just had to stop there, just stare at it with garbage in hand, just like, wow, this is amazing. And I finally discovered what the psalmist has been talking about, what Mark has been trying to teach us. As I just stood at that, I just felt small, not in a bad way, but just small compared to everything I could see, I could smell, I could touch. And it just made me feel small, that I can't stop the sun from rising. I can't make the clouds move out of the way. I can't make the wind go in a different direction. And it made me realize just how the Creator does hold all those things together, and how it's all held in tandem with everything that's happening in our world, from the rotation of the earth to the sun rising, exactly where it is during the summer, where the moon is. Like, just all of that is just held in perfect balance. And I can't affect it in any way, shape, or form. So that just helped me relax, as just person. I'm not the master of anything. I can relax as the master of the universe. All my worries really don't matter in comparison. And so in my reflection, I realized I can just relax. There's not much I can do to change anything except to stare into the heavens, into creation, into the earth made by a sacred Creator. And all I can do is enjoy it. I can be amazed by its wonder. I can be a part of it. I can appreciate it and try to live as a good relative in all of creation. So that's my reflection on Psalm 19. So now we'll jump into the meaty stuff, right? Reflections on a PhD, which I'm finished, right? So thank you. You can do a round of applause. I'm just kidding. Thank you, Kelsey. She's the only one that did. So I'm finished, which is great. Very excited and happy. I just, all I can do, a reflection on my PhD, is just to thank people, which I'll hopefully do. I know I'll miss some names, but I couldn't have been here without a lot of people who have gone before me, for my parents, my siblings, my family, everything. So I'm just so thankful for all of them, and I'll try. I can't name all of them, but if you're part of my journey, then thank you. But it's great to be done. But one of the things that, if you read any books on indigenous methodologies, indigenous research, doing research from an indigenous perspective, you'll always come across the question of why did I do this research, which inevitably will lead down the road of how are you going to do this research? Who are you responsible to after you do this research? But for me, why did I do this research? Um, and I think I didn't know it then, but I think I know now why I did it. I think I did it because I want to teach young people, the people coming after me. I'm getting older. Casey called me a young man. I would disagree. I'm getting older by the day. And so I just think, intuitively, I just thought it's important I start teaching young people that I lead a way for them. I help them. I make myself available for whatever help they may need. And so the way I explained it in my graduation speech was, my research is like my fry bread recipe, right? There's fry bread recipes everywhere. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the further north you go, the sweeter the fry bread becomes, which I assume is because, they live in a colder climate. I mean, it was like almost 70 degrees down here. My poor friend, in Alaska, they're like, or no, in Canada, some of them are like, yeah, it's negative 40 today. It's a good day. I'm like, nope, you can keep your cold weather. I'm good, right? I'm good right here in this warm weather. Um, but I always say, so my research is like a fry bread recipe. I made it, adding certain ingredients, withholding certain ingredients. And my hope was to take my fry bread recipe and to add it to all the fry bread recipes in the world, to add something new, but also more importantly, to help the younger people take my recipe, make it their own. They can change it, they can mold it differently, they can bake it longer. But that's why I did this research, was to be able to help guide the next generation of those going after me to do what I've done. Because if I can do it, anyone can do it, right? I know I'm not the smart one in my family. That's my wife. She graduated honor roll. When we were at NMSU, she was the Crimson Scholar and I was the just get C's to pass person. So if I can do this, I think anybody can do this. But again, as I reflected on finishing, I thought all I can do is really just pay homage to those who have gone before me. And I always thank my parents for being my first educators. Um, and I'll talk more about them in a little bit, but just for the people who have gone before me, specifically the indigenous scholars, the theologians, and the names, all should ring a bell. Casey is one of them. So, many thanks to Casey Church for teaching me in one of my classes, for guiding me in this process. There's Terry LeBlanc, there's Cheryl Bear, Ray Aldred, who was mentioned earlier, Randy Woodley, just so many people, all my teachers like Andrea Smith, she was my favorite teacher. Just so many that have gone before me have gone through the hard process of, making academia more palatable to indigenous people and for helping us have our voice in those spaces and arenas that a lot of times we were just the research subject as opposed to the researchers. So many thanks to all of them. I don't think I could have gone through this without their hard work, and I recognize that, and I just thank them also. And I especially like to thank Richard Twiss. He's been gone for about a decade now, but his impact on my life was significant. That's why he's the reason I decided to go back to school in my master's to gain my master's degree in intercultural studies. He was the one that I saw was just like this guy. He knew how to explain things that I only knew and felt intrinsically, but he had the words for it. And I just wanted to be like him. He's the reason I started growing my hair out to remind me to be a proud indigenous man. But I shared this video too at my graduation, but I just want to share it here too. And then I'm gonna make sure, I don't know if I click share sound also. Oh yeah, share sound. Okay. Any day now, computer? Oh no. Sorry for the little. Okay, come on. Oh no. Okay, let's see if I can restart this. Sorry. Okay, let's see if I can just do this. Kelsey, can you let me know if you can hear anything when I play the clip?
Yeah, I can let you know.
Okay, sorry, my computer decided to be weird.
It had too much fiber itself.
I know it's not doing well. Oh no. Of course it happens during the meeting. This has never happened to me ever. But of course, right when I'm doing a presentation.
I don't know if you can see it on your screen,
Yeah.
Donnie, but there's a notification about PowerPoint wanting to
Yeah,
use
yeah,
your
I see
mic.
that.
Okay, I thought maybe it was like buried underneath another window, and that's what was hanging everything up.
I know. Sorry about that. Oh well. But you can see me, right?
Yep.
Not that you have to see me, but you know. Oh no. This has never happened. And I can't even stop sharing too. Oh well.
Right?
Oh no, he
Techie.
disappeared.
Oh no.
Maybe he's like
Lo-
restarting his whole
he
computer or
logged
something.
off. Oh no.
Technology, friend or foe? Just kidding.
Hey Ken, you got a copy of the newsletter? Right. Okay. Another when you get ready, I'll read it. Maybe while I can read it. Or
Brian, I really liked your comment in the chat. C's gets degrees. It's true
I
though.
was
I mean, working on my degree, my bachelor's degree for about like almost feels like 20 years almost. It's insane.
yeah, lifelong student. You what do you crammed a 5-year program into 10?
Yes, that's why I only got an associate's degree right now.
Well, we got to work on that, boy. To get you back in school here. Catch up to Donnie now.
For real, yep, yep. And all of the students here, I hope you all are doing a great job in school. I hope that you're not stressing out too much. And just remember that you're going to reach that goal one day. Someone like me going on, I want to say it's like 18 years technically.
Mm.
But you know, you're gonna eventually get there. And then when you get there, you're gonna hit the ground running. So
You know, sister, I think it's all in Creator's timing, is it not? And when you get there,
Back.
when we and they get there, it's the import of it. It seems to me in my 68 years that I'm seeing that I'm just now seeing like in the 40, 50 year cycle, things I imagined in my mind are being fulfilled. And so I think those that taking that little bit longer, that's going to make the impression and the teaching even more stronger because Creator redeems it all. He redeems it all for good.
All right, we got Donnie's back. All right.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, my computer decided to. Can you guys hear me and see me?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I'll just try to finish real quick without any more interruptions. Sorry about that. But further reflections, and this will be my last slide. I think as I reflected on how I was able to do a lot of my research was definitely people who come before me, as well as from my parents who were my first educators. And I remember when I was living in Las Cruces, one of my pastor there, his name was Pastor Ruben. And I remember during one of the sermons while I was in college, he said, you'll never be smarter than your parents. And, as a young, egotistical college student, I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. My parents don't even know what the internet is. So how can they be smarter than me? But I think as I've grown, I think I would change smart to wise. I'll never be wiser than my parents as my first educators. And I I learned this because as I've grown and had my own children, their wisdom started to speak out louder because they raised me and my siblings, and they just were, they've been alive for so long as elders, and they've gained so much wisdom that they were able to teach me how to care for my children. They taught me, how to treat people, how to live in the world in a good way. And so I have to thank them for sure. And just wanted to share a few stories from my father, who, context wise, my father, I think he only had his sixth grade level education. And he actually passed about a year and a half ago. But when I was nearing the end of my dissertation, my favorite chapter is chapter 5, A Theory of Navajo Generations, looking at how generations live and through the cycle of life, which is very circular as opposed to general generational theories, which are very linear, kind of like you go from here, next generation, there's patterns and all that. So I worked on this theory of Navajo generations, utilizing a lot of Navajo teachings. And I remember before my father passed, about 6 months before, I printed out that whole chapter, which is about 20 pages, and I used a lot of diagrams and a lot of mostly diagrams to help explain, my theory of Navajo generations. And my father, I gave it to my father. I was super excited, to give it to him and to hear feedback, because he knew those things. He understood it. He was a wise man. And, despite not having ever gone to high school or college or earned all these degrees, he was the authority in my life. I didn't take my chapter 5 to, the ivory towers of some college campus to talk to a armchair scholar. No, I took it to my father. And I gave him my paper, and then he just started thumbing through it. So I just kind of gave him time to look at it. And right away, like, he understood everything, especially the diagrams. And he called me over and he just started saying, this is what this means. And he just kind of just explained it. He understood it. No, and I mean, it took me, 4 years to write this paper. And it probably took me about 6 months to write this chapter. And yet for my father, it was, basic knowledge. And so he just started talking about it. He goes, oh yeah, that's what this means. This is how you say it. And what was amazing about that um, conversation was my father, he spoke mostly Navajo to me in that conversation. And for me, I'm not fluent in my language, but through my writing and through my studying and through doing this dissertation, I gained a semblance of, the knowledge of the language within those certain realms of Navajo philosophy. And he just spoke everything in Navajo, and I understood, which I thought was just this wonderful connection we had. And during the graduation, my not my well yeah, yeah my what are they called, the uh Damien Costello, he's the in charge of the PhD programs. He kind of gave a speech before I spoke, and he said that was the day I graduated. That time I was able to understand these knowledges and produce a theory. Damien said that was probably when you graduated, not when I received my degree, not when I gave the speech, not when all these academic things were filled out, but no, it was then. And that just hit me hard, and it hits harder now because my father is gone, so I don't have him to be able to bounce these ideas off of anymore. And I'll share a story about that too. So in the beginning, right, everyone who reads the Bible has probably read the very beginning of Genesis. It says in the beginning. And I'm helping with the First Nations translation of the Old Testament with Terry Wildman. And so I just started last summer, and I remember reading Genesis 1, and I thought, what does in the beginning mean? And so I was like, there has to be some deeper meaning in Navajo. The way we start stories, if you talk to a Navajo person, they always say, "In Lake Etan," like a long time ago. And you know how long ago? Because they'll exaggerate the "in Lake Etan," like that means a long time ago, right? And so I text my brothers and sisters, right? I said, in Navajo, when you start a story, you always say "in Lake Etan," like a long time ago. What does that mean? And I was expecting, this amazing answer with this etymology of the word, of the deeper meanings of where it came from. Because whenever I asked my father, or sometimes just talking to him, he would always tell me the meaning of words. Even simple words we think is just simple words, like the word for fly in Navajo is Donnie. And I remember my father just telling me one time, you know where that comes from? And I said, no. He said, well, uh, Donnie, what it means is it bothers people. And it came down from, well, he said it came from hell, but I think he meant it came from our, um, in our stories, it came from the underworld. And so that's why we have the word for fly. And that's why it bothers the people. So he just went into this explanation just for a simple word like fly. And I thought there has to be something deep in the meaning of in the beginning or in lake at dawn a long time ago. And so I text my brothers and sisters expecting the same result. And all that text was, yeah. Kind of like, oh, let down. Like, are you serious? And so that kind of really put me back in that grief, like I can't ask my father anymore those questions. But I'm thankful he was there. And I'm thankful he was able to help me graduate, to finish my PhD. So in closing, I'm still a learner. I love learning, but sometimes a teacher also. I love being able to sit down, especially with younger people, just to teach them a little bit about what I've learned and hopefully guide them down whatever path they choose. And so that's all I'll share now. So thank you guys for listening. And sorry for the mishaps.
Yep, you know how it is with technology. It happens. See? All right, so now we're going to go into our silent reflection time, where we can gather our thoughts and figure out any questions or any thoughts that we have on what our brother slash cousin, I'm gonna call you cousin, what our cousin has shared with us tonight. And after that, we'll have our Q&R or Q&A, as Uncle Casey has said it. So I'm gonna hand this on over to Brian for our Native American flute silent reflection time. And then after that, discussion led by Brian. So go ahead and take it away, Brian.
I was really tempted to just play like the flute without the mics on, so it would be like a silent reflection. But anyway, yes, the floor is open. And before I go to Helen, one thing I'm curious about, Donnie, is your dissertation available in any publication somewhere, or like how could people access it if they would like to dig deep into it?
I think it goes into in case you can correct me if I'm wrong, a depository within the college you graduated from. So I had to fill out a form for the University of Divinity, which is in Australia. That was the partner college with Nate's. And so I think they have it in their collection now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's where it is. Yep, they give you a copy and then they put, I think, 2 copies in the shelf. And And most of the time, the only people that look at it are people doing research. so, so that's one reason that I look to getting mine published. So if you're interested, the organization that I use, Sharahala Press, will do it for free. And all they put it on Amazon, like you were saying, Amazon. They put it on Amazon for you, and they give you a big discount, but all marketing is up to you. You can buy as many books as you want and bring them with you when you go and sell. But it's all the publication is free. So if you're interested in that, I can give you that information.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah,
Yeah.
people keep asking. I don't know if I'm ready to jump back in and fix all the
Oh,
mistakes. Yeah, it's a
no,
lot.
they go through with it too. Yeah, they'll do
Oh, even
another.
better. Okay.
They do a read through with it too, and you can get another reader. I know Kimberly's on here. She can she can do a read through on that. Yeah, let's get that published. So
Nice.
I think it's really needed. Your thoughts to get out there. I know my wife would
Sounds good.
love to read that.
Awesome.
And we got a Navajo guy that's in house here. He comes in a little bit late and he sits a little bit back. And when you were talking about a long time ago, he was just smiling from ear to ear. Yeah, yeah. He says, "Yep,
That's
that's how the grandparents are." Yeah,
He's heard those stories.
yeah,
Yeah, that's fun.
yeah. Let's talk later.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Helen.
Well, thank you first for your message to us tonight. But I really related to what you said about being both a teacher and a learner. And I remember something my mom said. She said, "You're either ripening or you're rotting," meaning that you really need to keep learning and keep growing if you are going to be effective. That it doesn't do good just to stay still. Life doesn't stay still. You should be in motion. And I also thought about different times as a teacher when students would ask me a question, I realized something wasn't clear, but because of that question, I went back, I made it clear in a lesson, and I became a better teacher for it. So I think it's important to have that. I don't think you should be able to just arrive at one position like, oh, I don't have to learn anymore. I don't have to grow anymore, because life should be constantly growing and changing, and improving.
Totally agree. Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons I like hanging around young people, so I kind of keep up with the times. So all their lingo and their use of language. So my kids help me learn all those things. Yeah, there you go. Kelsey knows what that means. So
Yeah, like my niece helping me learn different kinds of technology, and here's how you log on to this, here's how you start that.
I think, brother, one thing that I really appreciated it, and it seems like your father and now you, and then you talk about your children. It's like when he was talking about this is when you graduated, when you and your father sat there and it was that meeting. It was the hearts of the fathers to the sons and the children, and the hearts of the sons back to the fathers. And it all comes together and it merges. And there's just this whole new dimension that is there that, it's like in the scripture was perfect. Creation doesn't have a voice. And your father, our elders, might not have had a voice back in that aren't privy to all of this education now, but it was an innate wisdom that is why the people are even here now. And what a blessing that is. And there's such a difference between knowledge and wisdom, but your family and you, brother, just thank you. I know you are, as Sister Upitaka reminded us, a forerunner right there with our brothers and sisters who have been since the very beginning, all these years, working so hard. And Sister said, so grateful for you sharing your message. But it also had me thinking too, if the way I imagined is our elders, like your father, our grandfather, it's like he took your hand and said, come here, yes, and sit on the edge. And all of this liminal that we can't see or have a voice for, that's that place right there on the edge where they come together. If you kind of understand what I'm saying, but just really illuminated that scripture to me of the hearts of the fathers returning and turning towards the sons, and the hearts of the sons toward the fathers. And we're at this time. So grateful for your sacrifice too, and continuing that on to the next generation. That is the most precious thing.
Yeah, thank you.
There's a question in the chat. Somebody was asking about your relationship with Richard Twist. Like, did you get to meet him in person, or was it just like through his books
Yeah.
and lectures? Or
Yeah, I did meet Richard. Like I said, well, let me try to share that video. I think that hopefully I don't lose you guys again, but I'll try one more time and hope. Oh wait, I forgot to do the share sound. But yeah, I met Richard in 2006 in Bismarck, and it was actually during this when I took this video. So hopefully you can all. Oh, right here.
Now wait a minute. You got our newsletter. And you got a letter.
The Indians are coming to town, and when the Indians come to town, the white people get afraid. So if you're white and you're watching this video, you should be afraid.
So that's how I knew Richard. That was my first introduction to Richard Twist, and so yeah, he scared me. He had that whole aim vibe behind him, which I wasn't with, as a young kind of believer. I was just like, you can't say that. Like, we can't say white people. And yeah, so now I'm becoming more like him, which I'm grateful for and thankful to Creator for. But yeah, so that's how I met him. And I've seen him every so often after that. But yeah, I always, in my heart, like mad at Richard for leaving us so early, because it's just like, man, I needed his voice. Like, I needed his everything. I needed him around. But, I'm grateful that I got to meet him and got to, a lot of what I do now, I think is just a result of, that meeting, of just hearing his words of how unashamedly indigenous he was, the way he wore his hair, and didn't hurt that he was this big, tall Lakota man, very intimidating figure. But he just led the way, and I think I credit him probably the most for kind of being where I am now.
Brother, it's interesting. I believe today, if it wasn't yesterday or today, is the actual anniversary of Brother walking on. And so it's interesting to me. I can almost imagine him like, hey, brother, yeah, here, I'm with you. I got you. I got to jump in on your talk, or just because he had that sense of relationship, that he could just meet you right where you were, and just the anointing was such a blessing. But I just wanted to mention that because he'd been on my mind all day today. So it was really a blessing to get to hear and talk about him again.
all right, go ahead, Upitaka.
All right. We had a second part to the other question that Brian brought up. And they were just wondering if you have any kind of like art or anything like music, or what else was it?
Oh, the writing.
Books, art,
Oh,
music, anything published of your own, or is it
yeah,
just
definitely not art or music. I have a lot of talent in life. Singing and art is at the very bottom, but I can write a little. I have done chapters in different books. Not a ton. I'm trying to think. I can't even think of top of my head. There's one book. What is it called? It's a series on religions, and they ask questions, and specifically indigenous reflections. It's like religion in 10 minutes or something. So it's real short excerpts about indigenous people answering questions about religion. And then there's another one I wrote a chapter for in the book is written help Naomi. What's her last name from Australia? Wow, I'm forgetting. See, I am getting older. I'm forgetting everything. But Naomi, You know what I'm talking about, Casey? She's in Naomi Wolf.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, Naomi Wolf. So she helped write this book with I can't remember his name, but it's called Renaissance. So I wrote a chapter about the original Navajo creation story and juxtaposed to comparison to the Hebrew creation story. So those are probably the only two that I've contributed to so far.
All right, that's awesome. Yes. But yeah, there was that question. Hey, and I put in the chat that I still have something to say as well.
Oh, nice.
But first I wanted to give you a Lulu for your accomplishment. So I'm really proud of you for graduating with your PhD. That is amazing because, I was saying in the chat too that you're a forerunner. You're going to be one of the ones that people look up to, that people reflect on, people want to model themselves after too. You're one of those special kind of guys, especially with your dad jokes. When we were co MCs back in the day, just that one time, just but yes, no, it's amazing. And I wanted to offer my most sincerest and heartfelt condolences for your loss. It's not really a loss, it's more like you have another wonderful witness in the cloud of witnesses above. You have someone protecting you on the other side, and I'm just really sorry that that happened to you, because losing a parent, losing someone that was your role model, basically a role model, um it's tough. So I'm really proud of you for coming to visit us tonight too. And even with the feelings that you have, and the way that you're just moving on from it, I'm really glad, and thank you for showing us that. And I thought it
Thank
was
you,
just
guys.
and I thought it was just a really beautiful sentiment, like how your father helped you, um, accomplish getting your degree, even reading your chapter. Um, I'm sure he was very proud of you, and I'm just really glad for all the things that you had to share with us tonight. You're inspiring not only like your children, or like children that you help. You're not only inspiring the youth, but you're inspiring a lot of us who are a little bit older too. And I'm really glad that you're a part of my life too. You're a part of this Good Medicine Way. You're a part of all of our lives. Like the way that Richard has kind of poured into you, you've poured into us too. And I just want to thank you for that. So, yeah, I don't really have any questions, but I'm just really glad and thankful that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Brian. I know you always have good questions.
I've really been trying to work on that, like talking all the time. So
I had a question. What was the title of your research, and what was your research question?
Yeah. So the title is Navajo Millennials: How They Find Balance and Harmony in Their World and Others. And the question, I'm not even sure. But the main question was, how different are Navajo millennials from the typical millennial? So millennials are unique because they're kind of one of the first global generations, and that happened through the internet and social media. But a lot of times research focuses more on the general millennial, typically the typical American millennial. But I want to see, how different are Navajo millennials? Are they the same, different? How are they the same? How are they different? And why is that important?
Well, good. Well, we got to get that published, so that's something we'll have to work on here.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
yeah, and so along that lines, like what did you observe, like for, because I know like a lot of the younger-ish natives that I know, like a lot of them felt like they missed out on directly learning the traditions because of the different ways like the boarding school dynamics fell out and how parents are trying to protect their children by not having them stand out as being different, and so a lot of times they were coming back to their traditions as college students or as teenagers or even as young adults, and trying to figure out like, okay, how do I honor these traditions but still get by in this society that I have to figure out how to exist in? Like, how do I make sure that I'm really learning the traditions well if I don't necessarily have someone directly to teach me? Like all those dynamics that I've seen like in young indigenous folks. Just like, what was your experience and talking with people about that?
Yeah, like I remember talking about this a little bit last time. I'm just excited for the next generations. They will answer that question not only for themselves, but I think for their collective, whether they're millennials or Gen Z or Gen Alpha, whatever that is. I think they're going to answer that, and they're doing it well. So there's this shift I think that's happened. At one time it was embarrassing. It was, not accepted. To be indigenous, to be Navajo. I'll just use Navajo. And so a lot of them, they didn't want to talk Navajo because, they didn't want to seem too Navajo. Just to, like you said, to survive in the colonized world. That's my parents' story. They didn't grow up. I didn't grow up learning a lot of. Oh, I purchased. It was probably like half and half for me, like learning the traditions, some of the language, but also mostly inundated with school and getting a good job because that's what they were doing. But I feel like there's just this shift now where I always say younger indigenous people, they're unashamedly indigenous. They want to be who they are, and I love using the example of how in my dissertation I talk about worlds, right? Like there's the indigenous world and then there's the typical, majority culture American world. But for a lot of them, they're rejecting that view because they want to be indigenous no matter where they are, whether they're at home on the reservation or they're out in the city in New York. Like they don't see the need to check their culture at the world's door and to be something else so that they're accepted or that they're welcomed. They're just unashamedly indigenous. And so I, I won't be able to answer that fully, but she will, she's learning what it means to be Navajo and Zuni. She's not half, she's both. She represents both nations. And so she's learning her language, as much as she wants. So I think she'll be able to figure that out. And I just get to kind of watch, take notes. Like I said, I'm a learner, right? So I'm learning how they're navigating this new world where they're not seeing it as two worlds. They're just seeing, kind of the tagline is, I wear my moccasins no matter which world I'm in. They're just unashamedly indigenous. So I don't have a good answer, Brian, but I do see kind of this title shift of how they're doing that. And it's just beautiful to watch. And for me, being a little older, it's healing. Uh, I can't speak for, like my elders, like my mom and her generation. I don't know what they feel. But yeah, that's all like how I can answer from my perspective.
Cool. Yeah, that's exciting. I like that. Because that was so much in the past. People would say like, "Oh, you have to be a person that lives in two worlds." That was kind of the mantra. And I just love that they're saying like, "No, forget that. Like, I'm just who I am, and the world can just like figure out how it wants to interface with me, but I'm not going to change myself to fit in or whatever." So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's awesome.
There's the lack of accommodation.
I think Brother Casey and Sister Laura's family is a beautiful example. Their children coming up, that how they blended, how they are seeking to excel, and how it's their indigenousness is just like a wreath around their neck, and learning, just coming together and experiencing and realizing that. But they're just a beautiful example to me of like what you're expressing, and as that blending comes together, it's so exciting and encouraging to see these young ones, because it's like, oh, thank goodness it's only going to get better. If everyone can just hang on and persevere to the end, it's really getting better. You can't see it now, but you can. If you're looking, if you know, you can see it. It's really wonderful and exciting. But what it's coming to be is just going to be, like you said, you can't say it for them. But boy, when they're able to say it, it's going to be something.
I think this reminds me of like the stars and how like they all have their own placement and they're like maps and how people are like that too. We visited you in the summer actually with a group. We came and showered actually. It was
Oh
the
yeah,
funniest
with
thing.
Rashawn.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
was raining that day. It rained like really, really hard. And it was funny because it reminded me of Ezekiel 47, where it talks about the temple flooding and becoming new. And like, that's what we're doing all the time for the people that come after us. And that's a beautiful thing. So thank you for sharing.
It looks like you got a good response for your talk there. One thing, Kimberly and I are working with Gene Stevenson on his doctoral work right now, and yeah, getting him on track and looking at his work and reading, and yeah, it's an ongoing process. So that's something that you can help somebody else out too. One thing I
That's true.
learned,
Yeah.
my professors that taught me at Fuller, is that they said that this dissertation that you're working on, it's only the project to learn how to do research. This is not your magnum opus. Your magnum opus is going to be down the road where you're going to make that bestseller that's going to change the world. That's coming yet. So the PhD was your Kickstarter to get you to learn how to do research good. Yeah. So that's what they. Yeah.
Oh.
But I appreciate you, Donnie. Oh, we got another question there.
Yeah, yeah. Helen's got a question. I think Pitadaka's got another one too.
All right.
But go ahead, Helen.
Yeah, you were talking about living in two worlds, and I know I've heard that usually used as a positive thing that somebody has more opportunities, but I think I can see too how it can be a burden and how hard it can be to have to manage both. And so I guess that stuck out to me. So I just mentioned that because I think I probably used that expression, not thinking about having a negative impact, but I'll be careful with it.
And that's part of what's the wonderful, the educating of everyone, all of us now, so that in the intention of how we perceive it is, is it half full or is it half empty? That's kind of like that same concept, sister.
I had a friend of mine who was a really amazing person with like languages. I don't know, he knows like 8 languages or something now. I can't even keep track. But we were pretty tight at this one point in his life where he was learning like quite a few different languages all at the same time. And I don't know if he consciously did it, but he totally had this thing of where he would kind of have a distinct personality for each language he was using. And so, like, if we were talking in English, he was like the Sean that I knew, initially. But then, like, I would hear him, like, talking in Tuvan with these other guys, whatever, and he would, like, become a different version of himself. And then when he, like, spoke Russian, he would become, like, this different, like, kind of harder version of himself and whatever. And so, but it was interesting that I knew, like, that he really was comfortable and at home with the languages when those personas kind of weren't there anymore. So I think it's kind of the same way, and a lot of times when you have to switch between languages, they call that like code switching and stuff. But then it also kind of gets into sociological kind of thing when you have to kind of live and act within two worlds. And so I think that's, when you can just be yourself, of course, depending on, different situations, there's things that are appropriate and not appropriate. But still, like when you don't have to be a different version of yourself to be where you are, I think that shows like where you have that next level of maturity. So I think like as a cultural thing, I think we're seeing like this growth and maturation in indigenous cultures where like now this generation is saying like, I don't have to code switch. I don't have to do this thing, that I am comfortable in who I am to be who I am wherever I am. So I think it's an interesting, kind of way to look at it when you can kind of break it down in those other ways.
Ken's gotten it.
Like that. Yeah, Ken, who is probably one of the oldest white guys I know, is referencing Bad Bunny, and like he's more up on Bad Bunny than I am. So that shows you something we could all we could all grow into.
I think it was so cool when he had that little boy. Yeah, the boy that got took by ice.
Yeah. Also, the part, it just made me thinking about how the young ones are stepping up. The part, where he just was free and he fell back into the arms of his, I hope you can hear me, I'm sorry. Into the
Don't fall over.
brothers and sisters. Yeah. That the people were there to catch it. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of indigenous and non-status quo cultures really understand the importance of community a lot better than the kind of dominant status quo culture in America that's really focused on individualism and individual achievement and getting ahead of the other guy and doing whatever it takes, and that causes like all this isolation and fracturing. So yeah, I think and I think the church in America, like that, really needs to learn those lessons from, indigenous people and Latino people and all these, other groups that those voices get sidelined in our theology discussions, and when we're, making doctrines, and when churches are deciding what they're going to officially have as their beliefs. Like we don't get to hear from those voices, and I think that's why the church is in such a weak and vulnerable position, like it is right now, because we don't have that community like that.
But brother, I think the cancer is being revealed. Do you know what I mean? It's like in the spirit, you can see the suture is deep and wide, and it's got to get raw, and it's got to get bloody, and it's got to get, but then there eventually it will get there, and the church has the opportunity now to see it. When Jesus, Creator, sets free, returns, nobody will have an excuse to say we didn't know, we're ignorant, because Creator is just exposing everything now, and you can see the culture in the hurt and the suffering and the rawness of the pain of everything that's happening. He's also building that community. It made me think of the scripture of the ones of all nations standing before the throne with the palm leaves. You can see those of many nations, all nations coming together, and it's hard and it's raw and it's ugly on one side, but you can see what's coming once we get through transition of birth. So anyway.
All right, go ahead, Upitaka.
All right. So I did come up with a question for you, Donnie. It's kind of along the lines of what we're talking about right now, all of it. So, like in your lifetime experience and the research that you've done for your dissertation, do you think that there's a separation between or a disconnect between like native culture and like Christian teachings, and Or do you feel like it's all somehow connected? Like, you know what I mean? If you understand my question, like, do you sense that there's a disconnect, or do you sense that there's a connection there?
I seen examples of both, just through reading, reading through the Bible, studying theology, and then learning more about my personal the Navajo teachings and words, and kind of reflecting on a lot of it. I've seen where they are disconnected, but there's places where they do connect. So that would definitely be a really long discussion with a lot of agreements and disagreements. But I think for me, kind of my mantra now for my life is that good teachings do come from anywhere, and and just like even the psalmist said, um, what does he say? He says the heavens and the skies, the earth have no words, no sound is heard from them, yet their voice goes out to all the earth, so the words to the ends of the world. So I think teachings come from anywhere. Good teachings can come from a culture, come from a race, come from the sky, come from creation. So one thing I've been doing is so I live kind of the outskirts of Albuquerque, and so I when I go walk in the mornings, or just when I'm usually in front of a computer, so I don't like that. So I usually go out and walk out this way, and there's just a lot. It's just wide open space, a lot of like shrubs and weeds and everything. So I just remember looking at it and trying to study it, and just seeing like how there's different types of shrubs, different types of weeds that all exist, cohabitate, the land, but they're always separated in a good way. Like, maybe because if they're too close, they might invade each other's space. So they kind of live, as good plant species. And I thought, how do we do that as people? Like, how do we live as a good two-leggeds, right? Like, how close should we get? How do we keep from invading someone else's space? So just even things like that, I feel like good teachings do come from anywhere, which, I guess certain sects of Christianity would say, no, it's all the Bible, and I think all of us have heard those people say, like, you just look to the Bible, to the scripture, that's where you know everything. Is like, no, I don't think so. Like, I find teachings other places, my Navajo traditions and stories people tell, and even in creation itself. So I think you can make an argument. Yeah, I've seen it connected, and I've seen it a little disconnected. Good question, by the way. You asked the hard questions, Kelsey.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Encourage her. We got to get her back in school. She's out. She's the.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yep.
If I can do it, you can do it. I'm not. I wasn't the model student ever.
Hey, but see how wonderful this is. There's Brother Casey, and he encouraged you, Brother Donnie, and now you're encouraging Pitataka, and next, and how it's just spinning round.
Yep. Yep. I wish I could have gone to Nate's, but I got my degree at Fuller. So, but because of that, Nate's became what it is. So, glad you could be with us, Donnie. Yeah, go.
Thank you.
I know what it is to miss a basketball game. I missed several, and it was because I took over Richard's organization for 7 years. I missed a lot of my family life there, but yeah, these are years you can't get back. So make sure you're there a lot. Yeah, be with them as much as you can. The next thing you know, they're out the door. And
Yeah, we've only missed maybe like a handful of games, so thankful for that. And she's a senior, so she'll be done, sadly, after this year.
oh, all right, good. Well, thank you, Donnie. We'll go on with the rest of our program here. We got a closing song, and then anybody feel led to have a closing remarks, the send off.
All right, yeah. So if the spirit nudges you to do the send off blessing, just let us know when the song's done, and we'll give you the floor.
Okay. All copper. sound to it. All right. All right.
That's a good rattle. That's a good gourd there.
Yeah, my people love copper up there in Michigan. Well, the copper mines and everything.
All right, whereas as Donnie usually says, a round of applause, everybody. Round of applause. You did a great job. Yes, Dr. Donnie. Dr. Donnie. Yes. That's awesome. But yes, does anybody feel led to do the send-off blessing? No? Okay, well, Uncle, do you want to do it? Or
Always, yep. That's the job. Pastor's got to step up now. All right. Hey, everyone, we thank you, Lord, for this evening and the encouragement that Donnie Begay has shared with us about his family, about his life, and about his relations with his father. Those are all so important. And like I say with our group here, is like, if you got to go somewhere else, family first. You can always do ministry. You can always make more money. You can always do that. But family is priority. So, Donnie, keep that priority in life. As everyone else here, family is very important. And we have become a family to each other. And we are all important to each other. Just as salt is important, each one of you is like salt that just savors the world. Each one of you has a special gift to give. We thank you for this time tonight and look forward to coming weeks. We have our watch party and we have Eshe coming up and we got many speakers already lined up, already into June. So we're looking forward to this whole time. And Donnie, I pray that next year we can have you come on again. Pray that Lord will take care of you and your work that you do. In Christ's name, amen. All right, everybody. Wow, good night. Good talk. Thanks for sharing with us, Donnie. And we'll let you go. And everyone else, have a good evening. With those of you coming on tomorrow, we have a meeting at 10 o'clock. You'll be receiving a Zoom, so share, come on with us. And then about a month from now, maybe, we'll have another, maybe 3 weeks, we'll have another meeting about fundraising, donor relations. So that's coming up too. So all of you, love you. Have a good evening now.
I just wanted to send my love out to everyone and make sure everyone is reminded that how you are loved. And this is always a fire here, not because it's mine,